Hello Amasolon. So for this tutorial I will show you how I take draft, cut and sew this beautiful pencil gown. As you take see, I'm sew this gown a pencil gown with yoke and bell sleeve. So if this tutorial and the type where you go like watch, just keep watching the video. And if you never subscribe to my channel, I beg subscribe to my channel. If you share the video to your friends, to your loved ones and other soul mates. So make we begin the tutorial. So I'll just go ahead now. I'll draft the pencil skirt. Okay, this is I'm going to use this side as the front panel and this side as the back panel. We won't be adding any allowances on our skirt. I'll be using pencil and marker. The first thing I want to do now is to draft, input my measurements. The waist measurement I'm working with is waist 33. Divide that by 4, it gives you 8.25. So I'll round it up to 8.3. So I'll use my pencil to mark it, then I'll use the marker to connect the lines. So 8.3. So anything I mark for front, I'll also mark it for the back panel. So the back waist too is 8.3. Okay, so that is the waist. Then for the front, I'll add 1 inch. I'll also add it for the back. For the dart allowance, I'll add 1 inch. The dart intake is 1 inch, so I'll add it here. I'll also add it to the back panel. So let me use marker to indicate the main lines. So that is the waistline plus the dart. So the hip, I'll just take my hip measurements. From my waist to the hip is 9 inches. I'm using 9 inches, okay? So it's between 8 to 9 inches, or you can measure yourself in case your own is lower or is higher or lesser than that. But I'll use 9 inches, okay? So I'll connect it. So this is the hip line for the front and the back panel, okay? I hope you can see the line very well. So I'll just go ahead, I'll label it. This is the hip, so this is the waistline. Okay, so I'll go ahead, I'll impute the hip measurements. The hip I'm working with is hip 40. Yeah, let me be sure. 40, yeah, hip 40 divided by 4, it gives you 10 inches, okay? So I'll impute my 10 inches here. So this is my hip measurement. So now I'll just connect it to the hip. I'll connect this line, our dart line, the one that has the marker. So here now I have 10 inches on the hip line, right? So I'll come to the hemline. I'll just remove 2 inches so that I will make it 8 inches. So I will input 8 inches on the hemline. Sorry. So this is the hemline. I will impute 8 inches here. The hip is 10 inches, so I remove 2 inches. I'm going to make, for the front skirt, the front panel, I'm going to make it 8 inches. This way. So I will mark it. This is my 8 inches, alright, for the hemline. Meanwhile, this skirt is 42 inches long. Yes. So from here now, connect it straight down to this new line. I'll connect it to the hemline. This is it. So what we need to do now is we'll go to the back, alright? Then for the back, we'll go to the hemline. Instead of measuring from this center front, from this center front to this place, 8 inches, we are going to divide the measurement into 2. We'll give one to the back and we'll give one to the front. So what I'm going to do now, from this point now, I'll just measure the same 10 inches. Just watch what I'm doing now. So we have 10 inches here, right? So what I'm going to do now, I'll just measure it like so. 10 inches. You can connect it straight down, but I want to have a straight line. That is why I'm doing this. You can just connect it straight down for the back panel. So I'll connect it like this to that my 10 inches, just a straight line from this hip. I'm using pencil. So you see, then what we're going to do now, you know here we have 2 inches. Our hip for the front panel is 8 inches. We remove 2 inches. So our hip for the front panel was what? 10 inches, we minus 2 inches and made it 8 inches. So for the back panel, what we're going to do, instead of just adding the 8 inches, then we're going to share it. You put 1 inch, you're going to share that 2 inches. You put 1 inch here and 1 inch here. 1 inch on the side back and 1 inch on the center back. Then you connect it back to the hip. This is going to give your skirt that straightness, that pencil skirt effect. So let's go ahead now and just impute it. This is 1 inch here, okay, and I'm going to have 1 inch here. You see the hip line, all right? This is the hip line. I'm going to now come in another 1 inch on the left and 1 inch and 1 inch on the right, like so. Okay, so I'll connect this to this hip line. I'll also connect this my 1 inch to the hip line. It's as simple as that. So I'll use marker to do it now so that you see it very well. So this is my hip line, don't forget. You know this skirt is very long. So I'll use marker now. This is my 1 inch on the down, on the hemline. I'm connecting it straight to the what? To the hip line. So this other side, the center back, I'm going to connect the 1 inch also to the hip line. Have you seen what it did to your pencil skirt now? Have you seen, even without, we've not even cut it out, we're not even wearing it on our body yet. Are you seeing how your pencil skirt is looking? When you wear it, the back of your pencil skirt is going to have that pencil effect because the front and the back will be equal, okay? So that is just basically that. So what we need to do now is to go ahead and impute the darts, alright? My nipple to nipple measurement is, I'll use 4 inches. That is the standard, but not all shall. Some bosses like below 30, below 36 is not up to 4 inches, around 3.5. This line is my starting point, okay? So don't be confused. This is my starting point. So all my measurement is from this line inward. Same for the back. So I'll use 4 inches on my dart. Okay, and the height, I'll make it 4 inches too. So the dart intake, for my pattern, for my block, what I had of my dart intake is 1 inch. So I'll come in, I'll take half inch on both sides. I'll connect it to my dart leg. So I'll also do same for the back panel, okay? So this is it, guys. To make my skirt balance very well at the back, alright, I'll just come in the center back. I'll go up by 2 inches from the hip line, the center back. I want it to balance, I don't want it to have any excess at the back. I'll just come up by 2 inches. This is the center back, don't forget. Then on this side, I'll just come in by half an inch. Then I'll connect it back to that hip line. Okay? So, I'm going to make my skirt to sit properly on me. Okay? So, for the front panel, we're going to do our slope. We can even do it after cutting it out, or you can do it on the paper. Let me do it on the paper, okay, so that you see it. So on the side, you know your skirt, the front part is not straight, so you're going to come down by 1.5 inches on the center front, 1.5 inches. So you connect it back to your waistline. See how I'm using this curved ruler? So try and use, it's not curved, it's not a curved line, and it's not completely straight. Okay, so you can even use this ruler to do it. Okay, so this is your center of your skirts, alright? Okay, so that is it basically. So I'll just go ahead, I'll cut it out and then we'll progress. Okay, so this is it. This is this pattern. I've cut it out as you can see. Alright, so the next thing, this is the side back, this is the center back. So you need to label your pattern very well. This is the, I turned it. So I have to turn it like this so that we can get so it can be equal. So you need to label your pattern very well so that because by the time you cut it out, you see they all look alike. You now become confused. Which one is the back? Which one is the front? So you need to always label your pattern. Alright guys, so this is the block I'm going to use. Like you see here, this is the center front and this is the center back. Okay, so I'll be using this block now for the drafting. And if you see that the front block is longer than the back block. Okay, so the front block is 18 inches long. My front length is 18 inches while my back length is 17 inches. Okay, your own might be 2 inches more than the front one. So if you're a beginner, you might not know that. If you want me to do a tutorial on basic body measurement, let me know in the comment section so I can do a tutorial on that. The waist I'm working with is 18 inches like I mentioned. For the front, for the back is 17 inches. So the shoulder, this is the shoulder line, shoulder to nipple is 11 inches. So I'm going to mark 11 inches shoulder to nipple. I'll also do same for the back panel. I'll connect it. So shoulder to under bust is 16 inches. So I'll also mark it. So I'll just go ahead, I'll input my shoulder measurement. The shoulder I'm working with is 16 inches. Divided by 2, it gives you 8 inches. So I'll repeat it for the back. Okay. So the armhole I'm working with is 8 inches. Alright. So to get your armhole measurement, you divide your bust by 6 plus 1.5. The bust I'm working with is bust 40. 40 divided by 6, then plus 1.5. So use your own measurement, your own applicable measurement, but I'm going to use 8.2 here for the armhole measurement. Okay, meanwhile, before then, you come down here, this is your shoulder line, come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. So I will improve the armhole measurement 8.25. I'll do same for the back. So I'll connect it to this point. The next thing we are going to do now, we're going to impute our bust measurement, because this is where we are going to end. You need to impute your bust measurement on this line, because that is where you're going to end your armhole curve. So you need to impute it. My bust is 40 divided by 4 gives me 10, right? So I'm going to impute it here. I'll do same here. So I'll connect it to this 10 inch. I'll also connect the back one. I'll just connect my mark from here straight down. I'll also connect this to this point so that I can have a straight line. So this is now our chest line. So let me label it. This is our chest line. This is our chest line. So the next thing we want to do now is to impute our neck measurement. Alright. So I'll input the neck measurement 3. I'll make it 3 by 3. 3 by 3 is the standard measurement. We'll still alter it to the main neckline, okay? So I'll also impute it on this side, 3 by 1. I'll connect it. So we'll go ahead now, we'll connect the shoulder slope. Don't forget, we've not connected the shoulder slope. Okay, so now the next thing we want to do is to impute the armhole. So for the back, for the front panel, we'll just go up by 3 inches from the chest line. Then we'll get the midpoint. For the back, we'll get the midpoint, which is 4.1. So you come in for the back by half an inch, like so. For the back, you come in by half an inch. For the front, you come in by 0.7. Okay, so we'll connect it from here to here. So I'll use my curve ruler. I'll connect it to this bust. So we'll just curve it into, use your bust measurement. So I'll just use my curve ruler. I'll try and curve it in. So you see the mark here. So I'll connect it to this point. So this is it. So I hope you can see it very well. So I'll connect this to this point here, to the midpoint. So from the midpoint, I'll connect it to the bust measurement. So this is it. So the next thing we want to do is to impute our nipple to nipple measurement. Our nipple to nipple measurement is 4 inches. 4 inches. I'll also put it on the under bust and the bust point and the waist point. So I'll connect it. So let me get the midpoint of my shoulder. So this is the midpoint of the shoulder. We're going to cut across the chest line and it will get to the shoulder. So let me connect it first. So from this chest line, I'll take it to the shoulder. So you see it now. So on this waist, I'll just take in the dart on the waist, 1/2 inch on the left and on the right. So I'll connect it to the bust points. So this is the dart, alright. So I will now contour the underbust. I'll contour the underbust, alright. So to contour it now, I will use 1.5 inch on this side for the contouring here, underbust. Then on this side, I'll just use 1 inch. So I'll connect it. So I will use this my roller. I'll contour it. I'll connect it from the 1.5 inches to the bust point. So I'll also contour here. Shouldn't be too curvy, alright. Okay, so I'll connect it back to the dark leg, alright, like so. Okay, so the next thing I want to do now, I'll also do the same thing for the back. Let me show you how to go about the back. So on the chest line, 4 inches for our darts. Okay, on the chest line, the nipple to nipple measurement is 4 inches. I'll also put it here on the waistline, 4 inches, alright. Then I'll connect it to the chest line. So on the shoulder too, I will get the midpoint. This is the midpoint. So I'll connect everything now. So this is for the back. Then I'll take in the darts now. Okay, I'll take in the dart, 1/2 inch on both sides. I'll connect it to the chest line. So this is for your back pattern. So let's go ahead and impute our measurements before we proceed. So let me impute the measurements. The bust line, I already have the bust measurement. The waist measurement is 8.25 plus 1 inch. Alright, so I'll connect it to the bust line. So I'll do same for the back, 8.25 plus 1 inch. So this is it. So now we need to determine the yoke, alright, and the neckline. So for the neckline, on this your basic neckline, you come down by 1 inch. See, this is your 1 inch, alright. Then you connect it to your armhole. Connect it to 3 inches. Okay. So you see, then you come down on this new line now. You come down again by 1 inch or 2 inches, depending on how open you want it. Okay, let's make it 1.5 inches. Alright. Then you connect it again to your previous armhole line. So this one now is going off. Alright, so you come to your chest line now. You're going to tighten this place now. So you just come here, you take in 1/2 inch on the left, but if you're busty, very busty, you can make it 0.7 so that it won't gape. So I'm going to connect it back. Okay, I'll connect it back like so. Okay, so I'll connect it also to the shoulder point to eliminate anything that will make it gape, just to tighten it a bit. Alright. Okay, so this is it now. Our pattern is ready. So this is our yoke. So indicates there's going to be unfold when you cut on your fabric. So I'll just go ahead, I'll cut it out so that you see how it is. Alright. Yeah, so I'm going to impute what is it called? I'm going to go ahead now and impute my bust dart. I'll make it 1 inch. So this is our bust dart now. So let me just extend it here. Alright, so for the back now, I'll tighten the back. I came in by 1/2 inch on the back. Okay, so I'm not going to quickly tighten it. So I'm going to stop at maybe from my shoulder to around 4 inches. So I'll connect it. So we're trying as much as possible to eliminate any zip bulge, any of those things. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll cut it out. So please pay attention to this front panel very well. Let me cut the shoulder first. I need this extra paper when I'm going to blend in the darts, because I will close this dart, so I need this extra paper. Then this yoke, just close this dart. You can close it before you cut it, so that you'll be able to blend in the lines, very well. Okay, so you can close before you cut it out. Okay, you can just close it like so. So I'll go ahead, I'll cut this one now. So this one is going out, okay, because we have an opening, a keyhole. So I'm going to close this bust dart now. So I'll just reblend the measurements. That was why I left this extra paper. So I'll go ahead and I'll cut it now. So this is the yoke. See all the lines, see the chest line, see the bust line, see back and front is equal. Okay, so we'll just go ahead, cut it on the fabric, and then start to couple it. Okay, so I've cut it out on the fabric. This is the center front, this is the side front, the side front, this is the center back, and this is the side back. So we'll start assembling them now. Okay, so I'll open the center front, see it like so. So I'll bring the side front and the two side front. So I'll go to the machine now. I'll sew it like this. I'll sew it with 1/2 inch. I went ahead and I ironed paper stay on it, so you can iron paper stay on it to give it that structure. Okay, so I went ahead, I marked it. So I'll go and sew it on the machine like this with 1/2 inch. I'll sew this part too on the machine. I'll sew it too with 1/2 inch. I will also do same for the back panel. I will sew them to each other, and then I'll come back, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've went ahead and I sewed the upper bodies. As you can see, you see the bust here is really busting. I've not ironed it though. I've not ironed it, so you see that everything is popping out. It's entering your eyes, Abby. The bust is entering your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay, so you see the inside, you see how fine it is. So I'll just go ahead, I'll open the seam like this. Then I'll iron it very well. I'll open the seam. Then don't forget to notch it. See, I notched it so that I can balance well. See, nothing. I didn't pad it. There's no padding. It's just paper stay that is inside. It's paper stay that is inside. But you see how it's standing on its own. You see how it's standing on its own. Okay. So I'll go ahead. I'll iron it, and then I will sew the lining. I'll use lining to turn it. I'll place the yoke. This is the yoke. I'll place it inside like this. Okay, this place is open. I'll place it inside like this. Okay, then I will use the lining. I'll also iron the lining. I'll open the seam and iron it very well. Then I'll use the lining. I'll sew the lace just 1/2 inch here. Then I'll continue with the lining. When I get here, I'll also sew the lace here 1/2 inch like so. Then I'll turn it. Okay, and the lining, the lace will be like this. So let me just go ahead. I will just join it. Okay, I'll see the back here. This is the back panel. I also joined it. See the joining. I'll go ahead now. I'll use 1/2 inch. I'll just iron it open. So I joined it with the down part of the skirts. So see it here. I also joined it. See the upper bodies. I also joined it. This is where the zipper will pass. This is the side. So I also join it with the skirt. So I also do the same thing for the front panel. Okay, when I finish ironing it, I'll come back. I'll show you what we have. Okay, so I went ahead, I fixed the yoke like I said I was going to fix. Then I top stitched this lining. You know, I turned the yoke with the lining, so I top stitched it inside. I'm still going to iron it. I've not ironed it out. So I also went ahead, I joined the down part, the skirt, to the upper part, that is the fabric, and then the lining also I joined it to the down part of the lining. That's basically all I did. So for the back panel now, let me set this aside. For the back panel now, I will just go to the machine. I will fix the zip on the back panel. I will fix the zip. This is the zipper allowance. This is zipper allowance. So I'll just go, I'll fix the zip like so. I'll fix the zip. Then I'll use the lining. I'll use the lining to turn the neck of the dress. Okay, then we'll continue. So I'm done joining it. Okay, I also went ahead and I fixed the band, the belt. Okay, and then I ironed it. I ironed the inside very well, and then the hem too. I turned it with lining. See how fine it is. I turned it with lining. Okay, so the next thing, and this is the zip. See the zip. So the next thing now is to draft the sleeve. Okay, then draft the sleeve, then we'll fix it. Okay, so for the sleeve, this is what we're going to do. This is the basic sleeve, long sleeve. It is 24 inches long. 24 inches long. Okay, so I'm going to slash it. I measured this place, the wrist. I divided it into two. This crotch, this cap point here, I came down by 0.6 inches. So I also divided it into two here. Okay, this is 7 inches. Then I divided it into two, 3.5. I connected it to this point. So I'm going to slash it open so that we can have more space. So I'm also going to go ahead, I'll slash this place. I'll stop around 0.2 inches. I'll also open this place. I'll stop around 0.2 inches. So you're going to make sure that what you have here is the same. Then you hold it with a pin, with a masking tape. Okay, so you're going to control the fullness here. So I have 1 inch there. I want it to be 1 inch. So that is where you control the fullness. The more you open it, the fuller it becomes. So sorry, I didn't know my camera stopped recording. I'd already gone far before I realized it. Sorry about that. Okay, so as you can see, I don't need any allowance here. I only connected with a broken line because I already have enough fullness. So I don't need allowance on this side. The center front, no allowance. Here is going to be on fold. When you're cutting on your fabric, don't forget this place. You see I indicated it's going to be on fold. And then I connected the hem from this part to this part. Okay, I use this ruler. It shouldn't be too curvy. All right, so this upper part I only added allowance here, 1/2 inch, to join it to the shoulder. So I'll go ahead and I'll cut it. So I'll go ahead, I'll cut it out on the fabric. Okay,